Locked On Women's Basketball fans, loyalists everywhere. Not only do I have young and up-and-coming New York talent, I also have a lot of New York Liberty hoops to discuss today on Locked On Women's Basketball, so stay tuned.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right. I'm Gigi Speer, and I'm here literally at Barclays Center. The energy is electric. And you guys know we ride for women's hoops. You're listening to this podcast because you know how good it is. And I want to discuss the energy of this whole building and what I've seen so far in this first quarter. But first, let me give some love. Thank you so much for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. So if you're watching on video, thank you so much. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Okay, so listen, I told you the energy is electric. I don't have a final head count on how many fans are here, but I'm telling you it's a Tuesday night and it's jumping. And one thing that I was looking for in pregame is where's Enrique? Because this Dallas Wings team is coming in. They're a good team. And the New York Liberty have them back to back. Today is Tuesday. By the time you hear this on Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning, you have more Wings versus Liberty to look forward to. And right now, in this first quarter, this is a live update. It's a close game. Liberty are up 18-13, okay? And let's just talk about this Liberty squad. If they're not looking too dominant tonight, guess who they're missing? Sabrina Ionescu. I didn't get any clarity on why she may be out tonight, but you know what? That gives more time to Leone. That gives, obviously, more responsibility for passing to Courtney Vandersloot, who is, guys, she's masked up tonight and she's looking dangerous, and I like it. Kayla Thornton is obviously getting her minutes, and what always I love watching. So you're coming into this right now. So the Liberty, they're off to a great start, guys. 23-4 so far on the season. These Dallas Wings 6-20 overall. So a record that may not reflect how much talent they have. But when I look at this Liberty squad, of course, I see the greats. You know, I see the names, household names at this point. But one of those names that I personally ride or die for, I'm putting my opinion here because I want to hear yours. Kayla Thornton. She's physical. She's aggressive. She's so exciting to watch. And what stood out to me about her warm-up in particular, because lucky me, I get to go watch the warm-ups in addition to watching the whole game, besides when I'm coming out here to talk to you guys on a Tuesday night. And what I see about Kayla is she's a very muscular woman. She's activating all those muscles pregame, but then she's working the three ball. She's working, obviously, driving inside. She's working defensively. She sometimes will, different players like Enrique, for example, has people playing defense on her while she's chucking up the three. It's because she's practicing those game time reps. So when she's ready for that game winner, you remember? Oh, yeah. All those game winners, all those Enrique game winners. You literally can't just name one. So Kayla Thornton, she's just always so exciting to watch because of her energy. And I think that's something that this Liberty squad needs because they're serious players. Sabrina Ionescu is a serious player that wants to win. Breanna Stewart, they're all serious players who want to win. But the way that they'll present it sometimes, it could be a little bit, how can I describe it? Just super stoic. That's what I would say. They could be stoic. But Kayla Thornton brings this energy of, hey, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to have fun. Now let's talk about the Dallas Wings because I think people forget sometimes. We talk about the Wings, right? We talk about, they got JC in the draft this year. They have Enrique. They have Maddie. They have Satu. They have Natasha Howard. So right now, Natasha, this is less than 20 seconds left to go in the first quarter here. Natasha has about 4 points and 2 rebounds. Satu, 8 points, 2 rebounds. So it's kind of Satu's game playing in front of her sister, you know? Breanna Stewart is leading the charge for the New York Liberty, 10 points, 4 rebounds right now. Phoebich, 4 rebounds, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Jonquel, 5 points, 2 rebounds. So this Liberty squad is having to spread it out. Jalen Sherrod, will she get in? Marquisha, will she get in? Obviously, Benijah not playing. Sabrina not playing. And you know what? Another player I love watching her shoot the three, Miss Kennedy Burke herself. So this game's underway. I know we're going to have updates for you. The first quarter just ended. Liberty finished it up 10 points, 26-16. So if they were to win this one, yes, they clinched a playoff spot, but they would move up to 24-4 overall. The Wings would drop to 6-21. And it's just this Liberty squad. You know, you think about, put yourself in the shoes, if you can, of a New York Liberty player and even their coaching staff. They're a great team. And a lot of people were asking them pregame, how do you avoid complacency? Well, job not finished. Job's not finished. If you've ever played, you've ever hooped, you know, we're at a point in the season where we're refining. We know individually who we are, what our identity is as individuals. We figured out pretty much a team identity, but now we have to figure out how to win, how to string together wins, how to be comfortable making in-game adjustments. And I think that's something that Breanna Stewart even talked about pregame. Someone asked about the complacency, and she said, what have we proven? Yeah, we have this record, but you know, sometimes when you're up and you're leading the league, it could actually make things just a little bit more dangerous for you because you have a target on your back. First of all, you have people always doing a scouting report because a win against you is a huge win for any team. So we'll see how this game plays out. There are other great WNBA games happening tonight as well across the league. So let me just give you a little update on each one of those. We have the Storm, who are looking to get a win over the Mystics. They're up 24-15. We got a couple minutes left to go in the first quarter there. The Sparks are up on the Sun, 20-17. And then tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, tune in because the Mercury are playing the Dream Wednesday night. The Lynx are at the Aces. What a matchup is that? And then come back Thursday, the Wings at the Liberty. Later throughout this week, too, Howard Megdal will be talking to someone on the Indiana Fever. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. And then the WNBA, man, it's so exciting right now. And I'm telling you, the energy here at Barclays Center is jumping. It's a Tuesday night. It's kind of a nice day out, too. So some people want to be inside, but not these Liberty fans. I have yet to see a Wings fan. I know they're out here somewhere, but Liberty fans ride and die for their team. So it's an exciting game. They do such a great job. And later in this episode, as promised, I'm going to be talking to some young New York basketball talent. I'm so excited to have this player on. I recently got to watch her play. So, you know, I'm not just going to WNBA games. I'm going to, thankfully, high school showcases. And it was one of those showcases. It was a New York versus New York showcase. And if you know anything about New York hoops, when you're playing the streets, someone's commentating, and they're commentating into a mic. One of my favorite all-time lines: someone shoots an air ball. You don't just say air ball. You say NBA, nothing but air. And that's not something that this player does. Grace was put onto my radar, actually, I would say about a year ago. Being in the women's basketball space, being in the girls' basketball space, and being in New York, you can't not know her name. So we have more with some young talent, and I think it's just so insightful to hear her talk about who inspires her, not just in the WNBA, throughout basketball, throughout life. And we all need a little refresher sometimes, I think, from those leading the charge for the future generations, because those are the most wise people oftentimes. So yeah, I'll keep updating you on New York Liberty and Dallas Wings as this goes along, because I think that's fun. You could always check out a box score, but you never really know about the big games that happen. And thankfully, I could watch it on the TV while I'm in here. So More after this. We're really just getting started. This is Locked On Women's Basketball. And guys, let's keep going. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. And guys, I'm a fan of therapy. This is not just something I say in the ads. This is something that I mean and, I ride for in my life. And throughout these ups and downs, we talk about what athletes go through. Every person goes through this. And I was struck by something I heard over the weekend. One amazing basketball player had said that actually, it was a baseball player. It was David Ortiz said that in life, it's not just athletes going through things. It's everybody's going through something. And you have to choose to wake up and see life how you want to see it, not necessarily how you've been trained to see it or how the circumstances of life have gotten you to see it. And I think therapy really helps for that. So I advocate for this. I love BetterHelp in particular. And this show is sponsored by BetterHelp too. So when you need to take care of yourself, you have self-care, non-negotiables. I never want to miss a Locked On Women's Basketball episode. That's kind of self-care to me. It's very therapeutic. And I also never want to miss therapy day. So when your schedule is packed with work activities, big work projects, even if you have kids, I can't imagine how much time that takes up and more. It's easy to let your priorities slip. I've benefited from therapy so much, and it's only made things clearer and made me more present as time goes on. So it's really helpful to learn positive coping skills about anything that you're going through, because the beauty of life is you never really know what's going to happen, good and bad. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designated to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. All right. Thank you so much for staying with us through that. And we're just so happy to have you, to be throughout this whole process with you. And we're here all the time. So thank you for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On NBA podcast. There's no offseason in the NBA, and Locked On NBA provides daily basketball analysis from national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, everybody, I promise you this is a very, very special segment, because for segments 2 and 3, I'm joined by a New York legend in the basketball community. She's only in high school, but Grace Lanier has already made a name for herself in so many ways. She was the first female basketball player at Xavier in high school to notch 1,000 points. I actually saw her playing for Uptown Challenge in the New York versus New York tournament just a week ago. She's playing for New Heights. And as someone tweeted out on Instagram, any doubts about 2025 point guard, fearless Grace 42, stature as one of the preeminent uncommitted players on the circuit, should be put to rest after her performance this past weekend, a weekend in which she had 2 30-point games against elite competition. That was back earlier this year, one in Indy, one in Ohio. So Grace, thank you so much for coming on Locked On Women's Basketball, but this is also Locked On Girls Basketball.
Definitely. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's go. Okay, so Grace, tell me first, let's start with this. What are you up to? I feel like you're constantly hooping. So what's your schedule look like these days?
During the summer, I just go day by day. I have a retired mom who's willing to travel, do whatever with me. Definitely hanging out with friends, constantly working out. We have the New Heights gym, which is always access to the student athletes here. So that's a pleasure. So I just take it day by day. I just finished an internship at New York Presbyterian Hospital because I want to be a neurologist. So just trying to fulfill my dreams of that and also pursuing basketball at the same time.
Oh, that's amazing. And I saw you have posted too that your favorite subjects is science. So you're with this 4.0 GPA, science, you're wanting to be a neurologist. How are you doing all this? And where did this idea of being a neurologist even come from?
So first it started over Zoom during COVID, and that was like the main thing that kept me interested over Zoom. So it's like, if I could stay interested in it over Zoom, why not pursue it in the outside world? And that's what I'm trying to do now. And if you love it, it's kind of easy to pursue it. So I'm just doing what I love.
And that's amazing. So, all right, walk me through this, okay? You're a point guard. I'm not gonna lie, I never was a point guard, probably wasn't smart enough for it. How much does the power of like being able to know what's gonna happen before it happens, like something that I feel like you can only really know if you have that high level intelligence, which you have, how much does that play into being a point guard? Like what's the secret sauce there?
You definitely have to be smart to be a point guard because you're basically the coach on the floor, which everyone likes to say. And it's also a grace, but there's also its downsides. A lot of coaches say whatever happens on the court falls on the point guard. If we lose, it's the point guard's fault. If we win, the point guard's fault. But I feel like I do a pretty good job of managing that.
Yes, yes. Okay, and then so what's been like a high for you? What's been one of the best basketball memories you've had up until this point?
My best basketball memory has to be hitting 1,000 points as a junior at Tavarian High School and being the first girls. And there was just like a lot of people there doing it with like a couple of girls I've known for a while. It was just a great experience.
Wow, wow. And if you could describe your style of play, maybe in 3 words, you could choose 3 different ones, whatever it is. How would you describe it?
Fast, intelligent, and different.
And what makes you different?
I know my height is definitely not the greatest or the most ideal for a basketball player, so I kind of just use that to my advantage and just using my height versus like going in the paint, being able to use my quickness to get in the paint and stop and rise up over taller defenders.
So you're 5'5", right?
Yes.
According to your bio? Okay, 5'5". And I had seen that you had picked maybe Chelsea Gray as your favorite player, at least in the W. Is that
Yeah.
still true? Would you say Chelsea's up there for one of your favorites?
Definitely. I think she's had a pretty great performance in the past games, coming back from her injury, and the past playoff performances have been amazing. But in all women's sports, my favorite player has to be Hannah Hidalgo.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, Notre Dame.
yeah. I happened to play against her. I think it was my going into my sophomore year or freshman year. We played in like summer league games, and like I think I was able to keep up with her pretty well. But she's just a great player, and it's just great to see her transition from the tri-state area of like New Jersey and always seeing her play in AAU games to just seeing her like kill it in Notre Dame as a freshman.
She was so exciting to watch this past
Yeah,
year. Man. What was it like playing against her?
definitely difficult. I definitely didn't have my strength up back then, but
Hmm.
she was kind of bullying me a bit. But I think it stood my ground.
Okay, and then was there any move that she did or something that she did that you're like, all right, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna put that in the back pocket for a different time, or
She was small, but she was strong. Like she was a strong little guard. She would like use her arms to like push in front of me, and that's when I realized
Mhm.
that like at the next level, I'm gonna have to start working on my body a little bit more, getting stronger, and using that to my ability as well.
I'm telling you too, you're already way ahead than where I was. I was so like weak. I feel like going into college, and then they just get you so right with the programs, and like you're a competitive person. Being on a college team of any sorts, you're going to be competitive in the weight room too. And then
Hmm.
it's crazy, like you come in freshman year, and then by the time you're like a sophomore, junior, senior, oh my God, the strength is so different. So I feel like too, we had some strength programs when I was coming up and like going through a whole recruiting process of my own. Is that something that you feel like is super common for a lot of recruits, at least in the class of 2025, you say, to get their strength up in high school?
Definitely not in New York because I know a lot of schools don't have like the access to like weight rooms or weight facilities. But thank God my school has access to it, and I also work with my trainer. Shout out Humble Development. He's also trained a few NBA players, few WNBA players, Kai and Anthony, if anyone knows, and he just knows like the levels to the game, and he's been training me for the past like 4 years.
See, your name's up there, Cayenne Anthony. Like people know Grace before they know Mello's son. All right, so we'll get more into your whole process, how you're going through things, and then I really want to pick your brain about basketball too. We have a little ad break to do before we get there, but guys, this is Grace, and we have so much more to learn from the fearless one herself. We're going to give some love real quick to Game Time. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. So, I love going to games. I'm literally at a game right now, and I stepped out to do this podcast. Like, I love being at games and even live events in general. Like, I want to go to a concert, even anything I could go to live. It's just so much better than just watching on TV or anything like that. Game Time actually has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So Game Time, there's a holiday coming up, Labor Day. Game Time has a 50% off Labor Day offer for Diamondbacks Dodgers. And if you want to know about the Dodgers, 50% off. It's 50% off tickets to the Dodgers at Diamondback. So if you're in Arizona, especially you want to do this on Labor Day, it's exclusively on Game Time. 50% off, guys. Limited availability and supply. Get your tickets while they last. It's a Labor Day special, so get it now because it won't be back again, possibly this year. So yeah, that's a great deal. I would definitely recommend you guys do that. I know for me, I'm looking ahead to different concerts, maybe one here at Barclays Center because I'm here for Liberty games all the time. Got to go to a concert. There's super deals and it's so good. There's so many other kinds of deals that Game Time has that's going to make you want to try. There's curated deals. They make it easier for you to find the best price on great seats. There's seat views before you buy, so you know if you're in the middle of an obstruction or not. And there's just so many great features on the app itself. So make sure you download the app because that's the hack. There's so many great features on it. You get your lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, everything that you could possibly want when you're making a hefty purchase, like going to a live event. That's so worth it. So curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. There's all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. We love that. We don't love a surprise fee. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay. Thank you for staying with us because we have a great final segment. This is all Grace, all the rest of the show too. So you mentioned some of your favorite memories playing the game of basketball. I want to know too, because I'm here at Barclays Center. What is it about New York basketball that makes it different than the rest of the country, would you say?
Definitely the energy. New York always brings the energy. It's I call it the Mecca. I like to be known as the Mecca. It's the staple of basketball. And it's also known for street ball, which I had the pleasure of playing in. And I just think New York always brings the energy. New York fans are always like diehard, even with the Knicks, with the Liberty. New York fans are just like the best. Yankees, Mets, whatever it is.
Right. And when I finally got to see you play in person live, and they're like, anytime you touch the ball, actually, even when you're not touching the ball and you like, everybody was like hoping you were, whatever. It's style and grace on the mic. Do you like that? You like the style and grace tagline you get sometimes?
I used to wear goggles the past year, and one of the commentators at the Rose Classic games would call me the Visionary. I think that's the best name I ever had. But that was the only one I had the goggles.
Wait, that one's good. Why'd you have the goggles?
So I had glasses, but my glasses broke, and the best I could get in between the season and like time period was the goggles. So I just had to rock them for one season, and that's it.
And now what? You do contacts? Like you gotta be okay. Contacts. You made the jump.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. New York hoops is so fun. You're right. The street ball is just so fun to watch. And you got to talk to someone who's not a New York native, not at all, but you got to talk to Aaliyah Boston. How was that? What'd you pick up on that she was talking about?
Definitely her connection with God is one that got her through the recruiting process, and that's similar to me. That's definitely as a Christian, just leaning on God when you don't know what else to lean on. But also, she just had a lot of wisdom on the recruiting process, going to South Carolina. She was in between schools, and she was also coached by a fellow coach of mine, trainer of mine, Walter Welsh. And she just gave us a lot of insight on the recruiting process and her journey through transitioning from high school, AAU, basketball to college, and then eventually the W.
That's amazing to be there and be inspired by players, and also to be understood, because I think with the recruiting process, a lot of people just see, all right, you go from this high school, you go from into this college, but there's so much that happens in between where I feel like the recruiting process is kind of like a full-time job, and you're doing that from ages 14 to 18. Has it been feeling like that for you?
It's definitely a business, I would say, but as long as you have like this right amount of people backing you, it's not that difficult to navigate.
Okay, good, good. And you want to go to a high academic school. Are you ideally staying in New York, or are you feeling like you got to spread the wings and fly somewhere else?
I'm free to go wherever.
Yep. Okay. As long as you're hooping. All right.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you too, like, you mentioned a player in this interview I saw of yours, and Michael Jordan might be one of your favorite basketball players of all time. He's some people's favorite too. What is it about MJ that resonates with your style of play, would you say?
Definitely mentality, not caring who's in front of him, and yeah, just his mentality.
Mm.
I know a
Okay.
lot
And
of
then
people like to correlate mentality with Kobe, but I think I have more of a Jordan mentality versus Kobe.
in what way?
More like Kobe was more, I wouldn't say, but like not selfish, but like arrogant. But I think
Mm.
Michael Jordan took more of a approach of like I will work with my teammates to figure out how to get this goal.
Ooh. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people didn't realize that, but there was like people always talk about how MJ couldn't have won without Scottie Pippen, but do you think,
Yeah.
you know, that would happen if MJ weren't so willing to work with his teammates in a way? So that's a great point. I've never thought about that. That's a great point. I want to ask too, as in your high school experience, I think a lot of times we talk about how much basketball has grown. And I feel like we talk about it, meanwhile it's something that's always existed, and you're currently in a generation that's coming up in the basketball world. Have you felt that as you've progressed along your journey, just how much respect has been gained for basketball or coverage, or has that not happened, would you say?
I definitely recognize it, especially in school. Like before, I wasn't able to have conversations about women's sports with other guys in classes, but now I'm showing up to class and like, oh, Grace, you watch this game? Oh, Grace, you could
Mhm.
think you'd be like Caitlin Clark, and it's just like it's fun.
It's so fun. So you think you could be like Caitlin Clark? I see it.
Maybe got a little bit more development to do, but that could be a goal.
Just a little bit. Okay. And then finally, to wrap up, I want to just look ahead to the future. So earlier this year, I was with some WNBA players. It was Jewel Lloyd, Ryan Howard, Shakira Austin, and a couple others. Leah Boston too. And I had them manifest what they would want to happen in the next year. So if they could pick one thing to happen that they see happening in 2024, what would that be? For you, I want to extend that a little bit more, because it's now we're halfway through a year and you graduate in 2025. By the time you graduate, what do you see? It could be one, it could be two, it could be three things. What's one thing or two or three things that you would love to happen for yourself?
So my goal is definitely to be a neurologist, but also get into a good pre-med school. I mean, good med school, and pursue my dreams of becoming a doctor.
That's
But
amazing.
also, if I have the opportunity to play overseas, possibly, I'm more than willing to take that opportunity.
Ooh. Okay, Grace. All right, we planted that seed. You come on Locked On Women's Basketball. Thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your story, because I think you don't even realize how inspiring it could be and how much your words can resonate with other people, no matter what they're going through or what they need to hear right now. So I appreciate you. Where can people find you, and what are you going to be up to next?
You can find me at Fearless Grace 42 on Instagram, and I attend Severian High School, New Heights basketball, and you can just stay updated with me there.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, guys, this is Grace Lanier. Thank you so much for coming on Locked On Women's Basketball.
Thank you.
How cool is that? That's Grace. That's young and up and coming talent, guys. Thank you so much for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen. today. We're so happy to have you anytime you tune in. Now go check out the Locked On NBA podcast, where the season never ends, providing national expertise with a local perspective. You can find the link to Locked On NBA in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.